Hey Cayla, I'm sorry we didn't get to talk last night about these problems, but I at least wanted to give you an opportunity to look over some of them. They're not in order, but please take a look at the video and hopefully it will be helpful. Let's talk later if it's not helpful. Okay, this is problem number 2. Avery's water bottle holds 300 milliliters. Deshawn's container holds 3/4 as much water. How many milliliters do both containers hold? So we've got two containers to think about. We've got Avery's container. So recognizing that we need to figure out how much both contain, we've got to figure out how much Avery and Deshawn's contain. So at the end of the problem, we're going to be adding up the amount in Avery's container plus the amount in Deshawn's container. So I want you to keep that in mind. So what we need to do is figure out, we know how much Avery's container holds. That's 300 milliliters, and we write ml. How much does Deshawn's hold if it is compared to Avery's as holding 3/4 as much? What we do is we take 300 and we multiply it by 3/4. When we talk about something being 3/4 or half as much or 2/3, we know that we are to multiply the fraction with the amount that we're comparing it to. So in this case, 3/4 times 300 is going to give me 900, because that's 300 times 3 over 1 divided by 4. And then I can reduce this. So we could do long division to divide 4 into 900 and we get 225. But that's not my answer. Remember, 300 milliliters is how much Avery has, and then we're going to add the 225 milliliters. That's how much Deshawn has. When I add those two numbers together, I get a total of 525 milliliters. Last Saturday, Flavia walked her dog 1 2/5 miles. Chazelle, so I'm going to write that. So Flavia, she can walk her dog 1 2/5 of a mile. And Chazelle walked her dog 5 times as far. So Chazelle did 5 times the amount that Flavia did. Well, Flavia did 1 2/5. So to figure out Chazelle's amount, we need to do 5 times that. How many miles total did both girls walk their dogs? So this is similar to the last problem. We're going to add Flavia plus Chazelle's miles to get our answer. So that's what we're looking for. So I know what Flavia's miles are. It's 1 2/5. I'm going to figure out Chazelle's. To multiply 5 times 1 2/5, I'm going to change that 1 2/5 to a mixed number. So I have 5 times. When I change this to I'm not a mixed number, I'm sorry, Cayla. I'm going to change this to an improper fraction. So 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. So I get to write that as 7/5. I hope that makes sense to you. We could talk about it later if it doesn't. So now that I'm multiplying 5/1 times 7/5, I'm going to get 35/5. Notice I'm multiplying straight across. We could cross cancel, but we'll talk about that later as well. 35 goes into 5 is 7. So now I'm going to add 7 to that amount. So 7 plus 1 2/5, 7 plus 1 is 8. So I get 8 2/5. That's the total amount of miles that both young ladies walk their dog. Okay, so we've got Roberto, who's measured his garden to be 10 feet by 12.5 feet. So that's the information given. Then we find out that Roberto plants vegetables in 1/2 of his garden. So we can rock it like this. Put a line through the center, and he's going to plant all kinds of veggies on this side. So if he's planting veggies here, we're asked what is the area of the vegetable garden. What we can do simply is find the area of the total garden and then find the area of half of that by multiplying by half. If we remember, the area of any rectangle is going to be length times width. So to find the area of the total big garden that he has, we're going to do length times width. So that'll be 12 1/2 times 10. But then we know that the whole garden is not a vegetable garden. Only half of that is. So then I'm going to multiply all of that by half. When I have problems like this, I don't like to leave them as mixed numbers. I am going to change this to an improper fraction. That's how I should multiply when I have mixed numbers. So 12 and 1/2 becomes 12 times 2, 24 plus 1, 25 over 2. I'm going to multiply that by 10 over 1, and then I'm going to multiply that by 1 over 2. When I multiply all of this stuff together, I get 250, and I'm going to divide that by 2 times 1 times 2, which is 4. I'm going to draw an arrow over here. If I were to simplify that, meaning divide 4 into 250, what I end up with is 62 and a half. I'm almost totally positive. Let me divide 4 in here, 4 into 250. Let's see what happens. I get 6 times. 6 times that is 24. Subtract, drop my 1, 0. 4 goes into that 2 times. 2 times that is 8. Subtract, have a 2 left over. I could call my 2 a remainder. If I could put my remainder over top of that, I get 2. Let me see if I can write it in here. Hold on. I get 2 fourths, which reduces to 1/2. So I feel like our answer here, 62 and a half feet squared, or square feet, is the measure of the area of his vegetable garden. Problem 13 is a clever problem. It says multiplying a number by 2 and then dividing it by 3 is the same as multiplying by what number? That number is 2/3. If you think about it, when you multiply a number by 2, let's say the number is 6. We multiply it by 2 and then we divide it by 3. What do we get when we're finished? Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Divided by 3 is 4. So what I'm saying is that's the same as taking 6 and multiplying it by 2 over 3. Let's take a look. When I do that, I need to multiply 6 over 1 times 2 over 3. I end up with 12 over 3. What? Stop that. See, I get 4. So the answer to this was 2 over 3. Problem 17, what is the difference of 5 and 2/5? We know the word difference means subtract. So we're asking the difference 5 minus 2 over 5. When we subtract fractions, we need common denominator. So peep game, we've got 5 over 1 minus 2 over 5. And I need the denominators to be the same, and that value that we're going to choose is going to be 5. Why did I choose 5? Because 1 goes into 5 evenly and 5 goes into itself evenly. So that is what we call the least common denominator. We could have chosen 10, 15, but that wouldn't be helpful. If I change the denominator, well, it would be helpful, but it wouldn't lead us to a easily reducible answer. Anyway, don't worry about that. 1 goes into 5 times. So if that's the case, I need to multiply my numerator or top by 5. So I get 25 over 5. So 5 over 1 is the same as 25 over 5. Since this denominator did not change, the numerator doesn't have to change. So I have 25 over 5 minus 2 over 5, which gives me the denominator stays the same, and my numerator is just the difference between 25 minus 2, which is 23. If your teacher desires, which she probably does, she wants you to turn this back into a mixed number. So you divide 5 into 23 and you get 4, and then there's a remainder of 3, which you put over the denominator. So your answer to that problem should have been 4 3/5. There's another way to do this. Now that I think about it, I'm going to do it real quick. So remember we have 5 and 2 over 5. Maybe your teacher told you to do like what's it called, regrouping. So you realize you got 1 whole and this big old 5 whole, so you can change it to 4 and 5 over 5. 5 over 5 is just 1, but now we've got it kind of in fraction form, so it's easier to subtract a fraction. I don't know if she did this, but let's work with it anyway. So we get 4. 5/5 minus 2/5 is just going to be 3/5. So maybe this is a faster way. Perhaps she said it. I feel like this is more standard, where you change it to a common denominator instead of the regrouping thing. Problem 21, Kathy claims that dividing by 1/5 is the same thing as multiplying by 5. Is she correct? And then I think your teacher had explained your reasoning. Yes, she is correct. Let's go back to thinking about division of fractions. When we divide fractions, I'm going to do a generic thing. If I have like A over B divided by C over D, your teacher told you to leave the first fraction the same, change your sign to multiplication, and then take the reciprocal of this bad boy, which means interchange the numerator with the denominator. So this becomes D over C. And so these two are equivalent things, right? So let's think about what that means in reference to our problem. Kathy claims that dividing by 1/5 is the same as multiplying by 5. Well, let's think about it. If I had, say, 7 divided by 1/5, I just chose 7 just to be crazy. If I had 7 divided by 1/5, according to our law up here, we take the first fraction, we leave it the same, 7 or 7 over 1. We change it to multiplication, and then we take the reciprocal, right? We flip the other fraction. And peep game, 7 divided by 1/5 is the same as 7 times 5 over 1, or 5. So indeed, Kathy is correct because of this situation where dividing is really just multiplying by the reciprocal. We've come to our final problem, problem 23. Brian bought a 15-pound bag of concrete. He split the bag into smaller bags that each holds 2 1/2 pounds. How many smaller bags did he fill? Well, we just talked about division, and I hope you recognize that this problem is indeed a division problem. Brian bought this big old bag of concrete, right? Huge bag. And then he wanted to break it down, right, into a bunch of little bags. And the little bags each hold 2 1/2 pounds. And I'm just drawing a bunch of these here. The question is, how many of these little bags are we going to have? If this is 15 pounds, LBS, and these bad boys are 2 1/2 pounds each, right? So this is kind of a visual, and I'm not saying that it's 4. I don't know how many it is, right? This is just a visual of what the whole situation is. So the fact that I'm dividing tells me that, or I'm breaking something down, tells me that I've got division. So I'm going to do 15 divided by 2 1/2. Just as we did in the last problem, I don't like to use mixed numbers when I'm dividing or multiplying. It's not convenient. So what I'm going to do is change my mixed number into an improper fraction. So this is really 15 divided by 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, 5 over 2. But wait, the last example we saw says that dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by its reciprocal. So I change that division sign to multiplication, and I get 2 over 5. I get that I'm multiplying 15 times 2 over 5. Rock out and finish the whole thing. 15 times 2 is 30 over 5. Well, what's 30 divided by 5? I hope you are screaming right now and saying that the answer is 6. And that is indeed true. He gets 6 bags of the 2 1/2 pound bags of concrete. All right, Kales, I hope that that was helpful and it made sense. If it didn't, please let's talk again. I kind of did this quickly, or as quickly as I could, so you'd have it for tomorrow. Have an excellent night. I love you, and take good care, sweetheart. Bye.